Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the November 6, 2018 Post Falls City Council meeting. We started the evening with a workshop on water reclamation. Now we're in regular session. Shannon, please note that councilors are present with the exception of Councilors Wolf and Anthony, both of whom were excused tonight. And we have another Eagle Scout presentation. And with that, I'm going to step down. And Derek, would you come forward, please? This is kind of an extra fun one for me because how many years ago was it that we presented to your brother? 2 years? 2 years. So 2 years ago, Derek's older brother attained his Eagle Scout. So it runs in the family, and you must be from good stock. So it's an honor to recognize you for all your hard work. Derek's Eagle project was to build 4 benches for the newly built kickball field at Greens Ferry Elementary School in Post Falls. And we know that there's a lot more that goes into being an Eagle Scout than just doing your project. So we want to thank you and congratulate you for attaining the Eagle Scout rank. We want to thank you for the work you've done. And we have got a certificate that will recognize you and a gift card from Cabela's as our a token of our appreciation for all you've done. So congratulations, and I'm sure we'll hear from you in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor? Yeah. Picture.
Work.
Stop. Skip.
It was so I was going in. I was ready. Congratulations and thank you.
It's always fun to recognize the young folks in our community that are model citizens, so we look forward to hearing great things from you. We also have a presentation tonight on the Public Transportation City League update. Amber, are you running this one?
The whole team is going to speak tonight.
Perfect. So if you will, as you approach the microphones, would you all just please give your name for the record?
Yes, sir, we will. 1 second. Sorry about that. It's not cooperating with me, even though it did it when we just practiced a minute ago. No such luck.
Did you?
Yes, please. Thank you. Technical assistance from the audience. I appreciate that.
The tutorial.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. Thank you for allowing us to present to you this evening. My name is Amber Conklin, and I work for Kootenai County in the Grants and Transit Department. Prior to coming to the county, I worked for Jobs Plus, the Regional Economic Development Corporation, and previously as the Communications Director for the City of Fairbanks, Alaska. My role in the department is oversight of the paratransit and ring-a-ride programs, as well as interagency and public outreach. All 5 members of our team are here tonight, and each of us will present briefly, and our director, Jody Beasy, will also answer questions at the end of our presentation. Everything we do in transit is related to our 4 pillars. Our 4 pillars are education, employment, health care, and recreation in the area. Financial planning and funding is key to our ability to provide excellent service feasibly. The safety of our riders and drivers is of utmost import to us, and several of our team members have backgrounds in public safety and emergency management. Asset management is a prime element of our stewardship and an area in which we diligently work to maintain our resources, to avoid service gaps, and get fully extended usage of our equipment. We ensure that operational funding received and expended by our agency, subrecipients, and contractors complies with regulatory standards and statutes. Our transit operations fall into four categories. The fixed route system provides service on 3 routes in the communities of Post Falls, Coeur d'Alene, Dalton Gardens, Hayden, and Hutter, and operate Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. in the evenings and from 9 a.m. to 4 o'clock on Saturdays. CityLink North also provides origin to destination Americans with Disability Act paratransit service within a 3/4 mile of our fixed route service. We also operate a supplemental ring-a-ride program for seniors and people with disabilities that are not inside the paratransit area. We are actively planning for the future and seeking innovative ways to provide excellent transit service. For instance, we are working toward creation of an app for mobility as a service. It's a concept that creates a one-stop point of contact for people for all modes of transportation. We're also hosting the Idaho Transportation Department in discussions on preparation for autonomous vehicles. While looking to the future, we are keeping an eye on existing needs and want to create additional opportunities for commuter and rideshare programs, and are excited for the new transit center as a hub for those initiatives. With that, I'm going to introduce Chad.
Good evening. I am Chad Engel. I came from a retailer here in the area for the past 12 years. That's where I've been working before I came to the county. So for public transit here in Kootenai County, we have, as Amber mentioned, our fixed route. For the fixed route, our ridership, we are 142,000 for our unlinked passengers overall. Paratransit, looking at 10,600. Ring-a-ride, we're actually 2,700 with 1,600 being over 65. Our unlinked passenger count for Riverstone, passengers going to Post Falls from the transit center, we are 11,800. Passengers coming from Post Falls to the transit center, 12,800, with our peak travel time being 1 to 6 o'clock, and 43% of the riders in that fall between the 1 and 6 o'clock.
Are these annual totals?
This is brought to us from February till October right now, so yes. And currently you see our, again, this is from February to October, our stops in Post Falls. With the highest boarding is 3,700 for our Post Falls Library, and Post Falls Walmart is our highest alighting at 3,100. So speak a little bit about our demographics on the ridership. Reasons for people using public transit, 40% have the need, 16% is for economy reasons, and 44% is for preference. So in our demographic, the people who are riding in transit, we have 71% who are employed, 7% students, and so forth. Education, we have 31% with bachelor's degrees, 24% with at least some college education riding on the bus. The reasons for taking the trip, 49% going to and from work, with 21% shopping and eating out. So the way that we collect our data is with ETA. ETA is equipped on all our buses, gathering real-time information that we can use to better fulfill our routes, making sure that we're establishing new routes and making sure we're utilizing the routes that we currently have, so we can make it more efficient and more cost-effective. So we have an app that gives our passengers real-time information. As you can see here, this is when you open up the app, you can select the routes, and then you click on the map and it shows our 3 routes that we currently have. Our B route going into Post Falls is the blue route, our C into Coeur d'Alene, and our A into Coeur d'Alene. If you click on the bus, this is what pops up. It tells you our next 3 stops on there, so that it tells you real-time information, the status of the bus, and where it's going to be heading next. So if you also click on one of the stops, It'll give you the name and then the next 3 times of when the bus is going to be stopping. There's also stop photos, which we are putting on there so that people can know exactly where those stops are located. Again, with the app, we also have the website, which has the same information. You can click on the bus and it tells you when it's going to be stopping, and then again, clicking on a route stop to know when the bus is going to be coming and showing up. So along with that, we have our planning. So in order for us to provide consistent, reliable, and accessible service to every passenger we need to have a working relationship with our transit providers, Kootenai Health, the Tribe, MV, along with others, and our jurisdictions, Post Falls, Coeur d'Alene, Hayden, Dalton Gardens, Hutter. And then we also need to be able to realize our demand, and that's where ETA comes in for ridership demand. And this all plays into our service planning and how we can adjust and move forward. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our financial planning, to Kim.
Good evening. I'm Kimberly Riley, and I joined the team as program manager in July. Like Chad, I began my career in business management, and I turned into governmental accounting 10 years ago when I re-entered the workforce after raising my children. Most recently, I spent 4.5 years working as senior manager in the Kootenai County Auditor's Office with a focus on budget, grants, property tax, and general ledger oversight. So due to timing, we have a real quick overview on our financial planning. First of all, expenses. Clearly our area is growing. Post Falls is seeing a large amount of that here locally. As our area grows, demand for services grows, cost of those services increases. So the chart here reflects FY18 actuals. Our variable expenses of fuel and drivers, 12.6% increase, 17 to 18 in fuel costs, and 12.3% increase in driver compensation. The projected combined increase for FY19 is 7.6%, which comes to $28,000. So that's the expenses. We often seem to focus on projecting and managing expenses. We also need to actively manage our revenue. So how can we best utilize our existing resources and other options? Are there other options that we can explore? Local agency contribution rates remained flat for FY19. We've been banking those local contributions for over 6 years to meet the match requirement for major capital projects. As Amber mentioned, construction on the transit center has begun, and we anticipate delivery of 3 new fixed route and 4 paratransit buses within a year. This will draw down a significant portion of those banked funds. While we recognize the need for additional routes, our current revenue stream is not sufficient to sustain them. So what are our options? I've listed a few here. We have our local match. We could increase that. In-kind match, which is what we use to use for the operating expenses when allowable, is also a limited pool. So looking at some other forms of in-kind match that we could document. We've also secured grant funding to proceed with implementation of a fare system, which would directly fund a portion of our operations. Reduced rates will be available based on qualification. So in summary, I see public transportation as a team sport. I look forward to collaborating with you as we strive to identify innovative ways to continue improving the services we provide for our community. And with that, I'll introduce Kelly Soski.
Hello, my name is Kelly Soski. I am the Fleet Maintenance and Asset Manager for CityLink North. I've been with the county about 2.5 years, and my main focus right now is managing the construction of our new Riverstone Transit Facility to better serve all of our communities. That, our Director, Jody Beasy.
So I have to say it's a really great team, honest. They're really talented, they're fun to work with, and they're bringing innovative ideas. This was Kelly's slide. So in closing, what we focus on is encouraging innovation, improving state of good repair, enhancing community engagement, and expanding capacity. And so encouraging innovation means that technology surrounding public transportation is rapidly bringing change to mobility in urban areas. And we are sincerely excited about the future and the opportunity to explore innovative ways to provide public transportation to our community that is fast, convenient, comfortable, and safe. Improving state of good repair means that we're managing capital assets to provide safe and reliable service, and our priority is obviously to ensure that the assets are replaced when they have met their useful life. Enhancing community engagement means we seek to enhance communities to forge relationships with key stakeholders, employers, employees, students, seniors, and individuals with disabilities. And expanding capacity means we continue to focus our attention on increasing access to transportation, the use of transportation, at the same time reducing traffic congestion. Entertain any questions?
Any questions, Jody? Thank you. Good information. Look forward to seeing the transit center as it progresses.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your time. And we do have some announcements. Today is Election Day. Thank goodness. Polls are open until 8 p.m. If you haven't already done so, there is still time to vote. Idaho Transportation Department is having an open house to discuss the plans to reconstruct the interchange in I-90 and Highway 41. The meeting is this Thursday, November 8th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Post Falls Police Department. The public is invited to attend and give input on the project. A spaghetti dinner to benefit the Post Falls Historical Society and Museum is this Saturday, November 10th, at the Joe Dolafield Training Center. Tickets are $10 per adult and $5 for children 12 and under. Contact the museum for tickets at 208-262-9642. The Camellan Park boat launch will close for the season the morning of November 12th. City Hall and city business offices will be closed Monday, November 12th, in observance of Veterans Day. And we received a letter that I thought would be appropriate to read. Dear Mayor Jacobson, on behalf of the Highland Park Estates residents, I want to express our appreciation for the excellent job the city did completing the landscaping project on Sterling Hill. We would like to especially thank Ms. Shelley Enderud for steering us in the right direction to accomplish our goals. Thanks also to Jason Snowder, Derek Kasanke, Preston Hill, Randy Clutter, Scott Mayall, Mike Wood, Doug Hansen, Danny Hilderman, Todd Hecker, Joe Barber, Nathan Gregory, Devere Pollack, and Brian Myers for the work on the project. The Highlands is an outstanding neighborhood in Post Falls, and we appreciate the efforts and cooperation of the city to keep it that way. So again, thank you for all involved. It was nice to address their concern and meet their expectations or exceed their expectations. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
We have none tonight, sir.
Are there any declarations of conflict? Would you please present the consent calendar?
Item A is minutes from the October 16th, 2018 City Council meeting. Item B is payables October 9th through October 29th, 2018. Item C is City of Post Falls Parks at 1958 North Cecil Annexation Agreement. Item D is contract with Bernardo Wills Architects for Community Garden Conceptual Master Plan Design. Item E is Black Bay Park Consulting Services Agreement with Citivus Incorporated. Item F is request to dispose of surplus property from the Street Department. Item G is contract with Idaho Fence for fencing at the Tullamore Park Sports Court fencing. Item H is contract with BCR Land Services for Crown Point Park utility excavation. Item I is memorandum of understanding with Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency regarding upgrades to Highway 41 sanitary sewer. Item J is Viking Estates Second Edition Subdivision Plat Application. And item K is Spokane Street Rehab Project Design and Construction Management Contract Supplemental Number 1.
Mr. Borders, you had a question?
Yes, Mr. Wilson. Do we need to have item C under the consent calendar there, seeing as how we have an ordinance under item 6A?
Let me find it and take a look at it.
Looks like it's a duplicate.
So typically, we have an annexation agreement, which is separate than an annexation ordinance. So they typically will come together. The agreement typically precedes the annexation. So when you approve the hearing, following a hearing on an annexation, you approve it contingent on entering into an annexation agreement. We bring that typically to you at the same time as the annexation ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I've got a question on the Black Bay consultant fee. As I was reading through this, and I visited with Shelley briefly, but I thought, Brian, it might be good if you'd give us an explanation. When I look at a $66,000 design fee for a park, and it says that they will review previous studies, and I started thinking, gosh, that's a lot of money. So can you tell us what the reasoning is for that?
Okay, so that piece of reviewing previous studies, the last time that Black Bay was looked at was in the early 1990s. Community was much smaller than it is now. We updated our master plan in 2012, and at that point in time, the community said, Black Bay Park, we should look at that as becoming a regional destination with amenities that will be a draw for our whole community, the neighborhoods that are nearby. It serves both of those functions, as well as identifying needs with a neighborhood playground, restroom facilities and such, as well as those spaces that are provided along the river. So trying to provide access down to the bay and those sorts of things. The firm that was selected as a part of the RFQ process, they showed an extreme amount of skill and demonstration and the ability to deliver a facility that integrates that natural environment that Black Bay offers with the built environment and make those two things very, very seamless. In a RFQ setting, we evaluate those consultant proposals. We had eight of those provided. You review those proposals in the absence of a fee, and then once we determine the most highly qualified firm, then you go to the process of trying to select a contract. This firm was selected as the most highly qualified, and we're bringing that contract forward based on that.
My question would be, I appreciate the process that you've gone through. How did they compare, or are they the only ones you solicited a fee from?
They are the only ones we solicited a fee from. If we were unable to arrive at the terms of a contract, we would have then moved to the next most highly qualified firm.
You answered another of the questions, and that was why we would use a firm, I think it was out of Colorado, when there's other firms, but if you view it on a qualification basis. And I understand, when I see this and I see the design fees and we're paying for the wastewater plant and that, it's just, after a while, the fees just mount up and you have to say, whoa. But again, I appreciate the information. Thank you. Any other questions on the consent calendar? Entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Shannon, please take the roll.
Wilhelm.
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Borders.
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Public hearings tonight, we have none. Unfinished business, we have none. Citizens' issues, this section of the agenda is reserved for citizens wishing to address the council regarding a city-related issue that is not on the agenda. If anyone wishes to speak, come forward and give your name, and we'll allow you time to talk to the council. Seeing none. New business. Engineering service contract, TO engineers for the Tullamore Lift Station. Mr. Obini.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, Andrew Arbini, Utilities Project Manager. So my presentation this evening actually combines two projects, the Tullamore Lift Station and the Highway 41 project. These are separate agenda items on tonight's council agenda, but they're related in that they both come from the 2017 Northeast Quadrant Study, and they both address capacity needs in the Highway 41 corridor and in that Northeast Quadrant. This map gives a general idea of where the projects are located. We have Tullamore Lift Station on the north of the map. off of Bogey Drive, that's just west of Highway 41. And then the Highway 41 sewer line is an upsize, would be a new install of pipe to increase capacity, and that's in the Highway 41 corridor, generally from Horsehaven Avenue south to 12th Avenue. So as I mentioned in the beginning, these projects came about from the 2017 Northeast Quadrant Sewer Study. That study was actually adopted by City Council earlier this year. That was performed by JUB, by developer contracted with JUB, and that was developed in conjunction with the City of Post Falls to address sewer capacity downstream of development occurring in this area. The Tullamore lift station upgrades include increases to the emergency overflow, so we're adding emergency overflow storage, and then replacing a pump that's currently there and making improvements to the electrical controls currently on site. It is worth noting for both of these projects, this will be funded by the Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency. We currently have a signed MOU in place with the Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency that will reimburse the City of Post Falls for all project costs. So a general timeline, a schedule of what we've put together. This project is fairly small in size, but we've lined out a spring completion timeline for 2019 to complete design. Following that, we would go through an informal bid process. So that's one of the main differences with the informal bid process. Given the smaller scale of this project, we are able to save time and not having to go through the formal process of advertising. We can contact a minimum of 3 contractors and solicit bids through that informal process. And then construction would be scheduled for this summer with a completion date, I believe, of September 30th. So a financial summary of project costs. In the Northeast Quadrant study, the estimated project cost was $108,000. The contract this evening with TO Engineers includes construction management services is $26,136.50. We've added a 5% contingency for unforeseen conditions of $1,307. The total requested amount this evening is $27,443.50. And that is for the Tullamore project. The Highway 41 sewer line is a little more complex in that the critical driver in this and project timeline is the improvements to the Highway 41 corridor. ITD is coming in to widen that highway in 2020 is their current anticipated schedule. In order for us to construct our sewer line, we have to have our work done prior to their work. So there is a critical path in the design, construction, and completion of this project. Again, this was identified in the Northeast Quadrant study. It addresses the limiting capacity in the existing sewer trunk line. So what's currently there was not designed to accommodate the increasing flows that we're seeing in that area and will continue to see as that Northeast Quadrant builds out. And again, the project costs for this will be reimbursed by the Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency. It is worth noting the MOU that was on the consent agenda this evening that was approved and will be forwarded to the Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency for their approval. So that will go to them, and then once that is signed, we will have that in place. The schedule for this project, as I mentioned, it's tight and it's a critical timeline. But the main points of our schedule, so ITD right-of-way acquisition is currently underway and anticipated to be completed in July of next year, 2019. At the same time, we are planning to award a construction contract as soon as all of that comes together. So around the same time in July 2019. We do recognize that that's not an ideal time to be bidding. However, with the critical component of having this project completed, we are moving forward with that. And ultimately, prior to award of a construction contract, we would require Post Falls Urban Renewal Agency's approval before anything is awarded. Project completion for that would be wrapped up November of 2019. The financial summary for the Highway 41 project, sewer line project, the estimated cost, again, this was taken from the Northeast Quadrant study, is $719,000. That's the complete project cost. Includes engineering, design, and construction. The contract with TO Engineers this evening is for design and construction management services for $162,287. We've included a 5% contingency for $8,114. So the total requested amount is $170,401. That is the end of my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Andrew? Seeing none, we do need a motion, correct?
I'll move to approve items 5A and 5B.
Second?
Motion second. Further discussion? Shannon, please take the roll.
Borders.
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Wilhelm.
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next items up are water reclamation facility upgrades.
This is my last presentation. So I will preface this at the beginning to say that some of this is going to look familiar from the workshop. In fact, most of the slides are what you have seen earlier this evening. We felt it was important to formalize this at the council and focus specifically on what this presentation is, and that's the purchase, the pre-procured equipment for membrane filtration and UV. So quick recap and overview of the project background. We awarded a contract to JEB for design in March. Since that time, we have moved past the 10% and are currently at a 30% design phase and pre-procuring the UV and membrane filtration systems. The reason we chose a pre-procurement of the membrane and UV systems is that the main point is that it allows us some design certainty. It allows the design team, JEB, and their sub-consultants to design around a specific piece of equipment, which impacts the footprint, the building size, and many other critical elements. In the bids that are being presented for the UV and membrane, both of those include scope of supply to include the design services. So the vendors are scoped to provide services to the design team. So every bolt, every nut matches up, and through that design process, we have a streamlined design. Both of the bids this evening, the membrane filtration equipment and the UV equipment, were both evaluated on their estimated life cycle costs. So there's a contract cost, and then that was also factored in as the operating life cycle costs. And then one final element of this, once the equipment is purchased by the city, we will assign that contract, the equipment contract, to the construction contractor when that contract is awarded. So during the construction phase, the contractor will be responsible for installation, coordinating with the supplier, and installing that equipment. At the end of the project, that equipment will be assigned back to the city, so that includes our warranty. For the membranes, in July, we pre-qualified contractors. We pre-qualified vendors. There were 5 vendors that were selected and that qualified, met the requirements through an RFQ process. We moved forward in an invitation to bid on the membrane filtration equipment. Again, that included the 20-year life cycle cost. So the result was Wigan was the low bid at $3,361,920. That was the lowest contract price. As John mentioned earlier this evening, looking at the life cycle projections, they were all fairly close. Still, Wigan was the low at $5,712,534. We did receive an alternate bid from Paul Water. They submitted a primary bid and submitted a second bid, this alternate bid. We did review, we did look at that bid. However, it was not in compliance with the requirements of our solicitation to bid. It did not meet the requirements, so we did not consider it any further. For the UV system, we took a similar approach with some variances. So we requested proposals. We identified three pre-approved systems. We also offered that opportunity to other vendors of UV equipment to submit if they chose to do so. We actually received 3 bids, all from the 3 pre-approved system manufacturers. In this case, we evaluated the bids on price, technical specifications, experience, service, and the unique features of the product. So rather than just on price itself, we looked at the overall performance of those criteria. Xylem Wedeco was the best offering based on that criteria and that scoring criteria. And they were the low price when you match it to the specifications. The contract cost is $793,000, and that is the contract price with Xylem Wedeco. If that's the end of my presentation. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Banner on this one? See none. So that was covered both C and D, did it not? Yeah. On our program? Okay, I just want to make sure they reverse my think, but just wanted to make sure we had it right. We do need a motion.
Move to approve items 5C and 5D.
Second.
Motion second, further discussion. Shannon, please take the roll.
Thorson?
Aye.
Malloy?
Aye.
Borders?
Aye.
Wilhelm?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you both. Next item up, ordinances and resolutions, and we have one of each.
Move to place the ordinance City of Post Falls Parks at 1958 North Cecil Road annexation on its first and only reading by title only while under suspension of the rules.
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Borders?
Aye.
Malloy?
Aye.
Thorson?
Aye.
Wilhelm?
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Wilson.
An ordinance of the City of Post Falls, a municipal corporation of the state of Idaho, providing for annexation of property consisting of approximately 3.2 acres located on the northeast quarter of Section 36, Township 51 North, Range 5 west of the Boise Meridian, Kootenai County, Idaho, and zoning of said annexed property as single-family residential R1, providing for the amendment to the official zoning map and providing for an effective date hereof.
Move to approve the ordinance City of Post Falls Parks at 1958 North Cecil Road annexation, to direct the clerk to assign the appropriate number and that it be published by summary only.
Second.
Motion second, further discussion. Roll call, please.
Malloy?
Aye.
Thorson?
Aye.
Wilhelm?
Aye.
Borders?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next up is the resolution.
Move to approve the investment policy resolution.
Second.
Motion seconds, further discussion. Roll call, please.
Thorson?
Aye.
Wilhelm?
Aye.
Borders?
Aye.
Malloy?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next up, administrative staff reports with a very important question.
Yes, would you like to have a meeting, which I assume
On
not
New
on
Year's Day.
January 1st, but would you like to hold it on a different date or cancel the January 1st
We make it a
meeting?
birthday party meeting?
Yes, I thought we would. A surprise birthday party, but now
that's
we've
right.
ruined that.
Yeah.
Council, your thoughts. What do the agendas look like? Is there anything?
Do we have anything coming forward out of planning and zoning that you're aware?
That I don't know.
Can we leave it this
It
way?
shouldn't, because we had a light schedule in November. December's going to be a heavier schedule, but that wouldn't get you until typically the end of January. So the planning items should be relatively light.
If we opt not to have that meeting, could we maybe make a decision on that unless you come up with something to the contrary based on?
Yes.
Council, what do you think? Does that work for you?
Yeah, I think it's contingent on what they've got.
I'll be out of the state from December 28th through the 2nd, so I can be here.
So even if it wasn't on the 1st, when we moved it, we probably still wouldn't need it unless, if we needed something, we could have a special meeting, I would assume.
Yeah, I said we can always hold a special meeting also on the 3rd or something where you could call in or something if we needed.
Would anyone like to float a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, further discussion. Roll call, please.
Wilhelm.
Aye.
Borders.
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Motion passes, thank you. Mayor comments tonight, I would just like to say as we approach Veterans Day, we can't express our appreciation for those who have served, especially those who have lost loved ones, lost their lives, and those who have lost their loved ones. So as we head into the Veterans Day weekend, thank the veterans for the services they've given us. It's something I was not required to do and did not do, but I have nothing but respect for those who did. So for all who served, thank you very much. Council comments.
I would just like to give a brief update on the Eagle statue and thank Jason and Shelley and the mayor very much for your help with the gathering of contributions for that. We have gathered $4,750 so far. We also have pledges of $950 more. And of course, again, thank you JUB for their in-kind donation to do the design to put the eagle up on the stand. So we are, I think, probably about $1,500, $1,600 away from our goal. So again, thank you everybody for helping, and a special thanks to Kit and to Carrie for putting it on your Facebook pages. I appreciate that, and that's it.
Well, thank you for spearheading it, number one, and number two, in light of your physical situation with your hand, thank you for attending both meetings tonight. I mean, she may have had to have a driver, I'm not sure, but if she's driving, I may wait till she's off the road. Thank you for being here, Linda, appreciate it. Anyone else? With that, we do need an executive session for two different items. How long might we need?
20.
I'll say 25 minutes.
Move to enter into executive session 74-0618 to consider hiring a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent. Also, Idaho Code 74-061C, to acquire an interest in real property which is not owned by a public agency, that no further action will be taken during the session, and the session will last no more than 25 minutes.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion. Shannon, please take the roll.
Borders.
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Wilhelm.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll adjourn to executive session.
Shelley.
Call the meeting back to order. Is there a motion to come forward?
Move to adjourn. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Go vote.
Off to get my vote on.